can stop this.
Hey everybody, Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm chatting with Matt about his 2020 Ram 1500. Matt, thanks so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, excited to talk about your truck. So, run through the details of your build. Matt is driving a 2020 Ram 1500. For wheels, he's got the XD Raids in satin black. These are 20 by 10s with a negative 18 millimeter offset, making for an aggressive stance. For tires, he's running the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs, and these are 33 by 12.5s. And then for suspension, he's got the MotoFab 2.5-inch front leveling kit with Skyjacker upper A-arms with HD ball joints. Again, thank you for sending all these pictures of your truck. It looks really clean, it looks really good, so I'm excited to talk about it. First question, what made you choose this setup? Was there some kind of inspiration behind what you did to your truck?
It was just, every truck's supposed to look tough in my opinion, so the stock one wasn't doing it, so I started with the leveling kit because it had that typical nose breakdown in the front, so leveled it off and then finally was able to get the wheel and tire set up that I think looked really well on the truck.
Okay, I mean that's typically how it starts, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna do this one thing, and then all these other things start to happen, right? First of all, you bought this truck totally stock, right?
Correct, yep. Right out of the dealership lot. Yeah, brought it new, it's got a little over 50,000 miles on it now, so.
So tell me a little bit about how you use your truck, because I noticed there are a couple of pictures where you're towing cars. There was one with you towing a Ford Ranger, another one towing an S14 behind it. So what do you do with this truck?
So really, it's all purpose.
Okay, so you daily drive, you haul, you kind of do a little bit of everything with this truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do any like off-roading or anything with it?
So I haven't done a lot of like aggressive off-roading with the truck, but I'm not opposed to it.
All right. So let's dive in then. I want to start by talking about the wheels. So again, these are the XD Raids in satin black. They're 20 by 10s with that negative 18 millimeter offset. So you've got a pretty aggressive stance there. What initially drew you to this wheel in particular?
So there was a couple other wheels that I was looking at first, and I just happened to go on your guys' site one day and saw these ones come up, and I was like, oh, that would look sweet. So I basically bought them like the next day.
Were you looking for black? Were you trying to do that blacked out theme, or was it just like those just happened to be the ones?
Yeah, no, so I knew I wanted either a matte black or a satin black. Basically, like for the pictures of my truck, you'll see everything is just gray or black. So I didn't want the shine. I didn't want the lip from the offset. So that was one of the things with some of the other wheels I was looking at. This was able to get me the offset I wanted without that outer lip. And it's also got that like two-piece look with at the end of the spoke, so for a wheel.
Yeah, no, these are really cool. I actually haven't seen these on another truck, any of these that we've done yet. So I was excited to talk to you about them. So tell me a little bit more about that offset then. This is what we would call an aggressive stance. So you've got, what, about an inch or so of the wheel and tire poking out from the side of the fender there. Was that the look that you were initially going for? What made you go with that width and offset of wheel?
So it was a look to get that aggressive look where they're sticking out a little bit. But I didn't want to go too far because I still parked in my garage. So I wanted to be able to get as wide as I could and still be able to go into a one-car garage. So
as you have it right now, since you've got quite a little bit of poke, do you have any issues with like rocks and dirt kicking up? Does it really get the truck kind of dirty or messy when you're out there if you do happen to, I don't know, hit a mud hole?
It does. I mean, as soon as you end up in anything, it ends up spraying down the whole side of the truck. But I knew that going into it, so it doesn't bother me. It's just spray it off when I get done.
I want to jump over and talk about the tires. So you're running the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs, and these are 33 by 12.5. So this is a bit of an increase versus what you would have had on the truck stock. So what made you go with the 33s?
So what basically made me end up using the tires that I did was to get the maximum height and width without worrying about rubbing and everything, because it is a daily driven truck. I like the aggressiveness of the tire, the look of it. Including the sidewall. It's got a real meaty looking sidewall on it. So it just overall complemented the truck perfectly for what I was looking for. How
has this been, since you do daily drive this, you tow with this truck, how has it been out on the street and in different conditions?
So it's perfect. The road noise is, I mean, I hear my exhaust more than the tires. So road noise is definitely very quiet for what I would have expected for an all-terrain or even a mud tire. Smooth ride. I think it actually probably improved the ride of the truck a little bit because originally a little bit bouncy, so probably the extra weight kind of helped out.
Has it changed the handling of the truck at all? Has it made it better, worse?
I mean, so you can feel it a little bit that you're turning a bigger tire. Drive-wise, turn-wise, it's pretty comparable to what it was stock.
You've had these on the truck for a while, so have you had the chance to experience them out in dirt, mud, snow, ice, anything like that?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that made it to where I bought them when I did was winter was coming around. The stock ones that came with it were starting to get pretty bald, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it through a winter. So driving in the snow, mud, rain, I was a little bit worried about hydroplaning, but that hasn't happened yet either. So they've just been a phenomenal tire.
Have you noticed any degradation in the tread or anything? Any kind of weird tread wear or anything like that?
No, and actually the last time, because I just recently rotated them, and the fronts and backs both look great. No abnormal wear or anything like that on them. So,
did you notice any error with the speedometer or odometer after you got these fitted?
So it's about a 2 to 3 mile an hour difference. I could go get it reprogrammed for it, but I just kind of just know that I'm going 2 to 3 miles an hour faster than what it says I am. So, but that was about the difference between stock to what I'm running on there.
Did you notice the truck feeling at all more sluggish, especially like coming off the line since you fitted these wheels and tires? Since again, these are bigger, they're heavier, you got more unsprung weight going on there.
No, I think the truck actually handled them quite well. No real notice stopping or taking off from the line. So.
And you have just the regular 5.7 Hemi. You don't have the e-torque or anything like that, do you?
It's the e-torque one. So I think that probably helps a little bit getting off the line.
So I want to talk about the suspension next. Again, you've got the MotoFab 2.5-inch front leveling kit, and then you've also got the Skyjacker upper A-arms with the HD ball joints. So this is a spacer lift, basically, for the front end. And then you've got the new A-arms. So what made you go with this setup versus something else?
Doing some more research again, they said that the 2-inch was just not quite enough, and the 2.5 just seemed to be that perfect balance between the front and the rear to make it look like a level truck. So that's what made me go with those. And then I've got a buddy who's got a 2017 Ram that did the same thing, except for he didn't do the ball joints. And he said that was one of his biggest issues, was after driving it for a year or so, his ball joints started to go out. So when I saw that Skyjacker made one where the ball joints were already pressed in, good to go, I just had to bolt it on. I was like, it was a win-win.
Glad to see that you did that, because you put so much strain on those ball joints because they're sitting at an angle. Once you lift the truck, you push that lower control arm down, it can get a little wonky. So with this width and offset of wheel and the kind of bigger tires that you've got going on, do you have any issues with rubbing or clearances?
No, and that was one of the things that I thought I was going to run into, basically like at full lock or something, but it doesn't. They don't rub at all.
Great, so you haven't had to do anything other than that?
Nope, it ended up being the perfect setup for the truck.
All right, and I know you said you had a leveling kit done first, correct?
Yes, yep.
How did it compare versus stock? Did you notice anything different in the way that the truck drove once you got these things on?
No, I mean, it was mostly a visual change. The stock truck, it's pretty bouncy. We've got a couple roads around here that almost have like this roller coaster effect. And when it was stock, and even when I just did the leveling kit and upper A-arms, it would still be pretty bouncy. But that's where the tires, for some reason, ended up making the difference, to where it's a little stiffer as it goes through that, but it works 10 times better.
Tires can make such a huge difference. Safe to say then, your modifications to the suspension didn't really negatively affect ride quality at all then, right?
No, not at all.
Once you got all this on, did you have any issues getting the truck aligned or keeping it in alignment?
I did all the work as far as installing everything. And when I brought it to a local Firestorm, I think it was, and they ended up doing the alignment, they said they weren't able to get it perfect, but it was close enough. Like, it's close enough to where there's no tread wear issues. It drives straight. It's just when you look at what it's supposed to be to what it is, it's half a centimeter off or something like that. It's very negligible, but it still shows up red on their red-green light.
How has the truck been towing-wise, by the way? I meant to ask you that earlier.
Just like it did when it was stock.
Knowing what you know now, you've had the truck for a while, you've lived with these modifications. If you were to go back and do it all over again, is there anything you'd do differently?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it ended up right as I envisioned, even though, like I said before, the wheels weren't what I was initially looking for. But when I saw them, I was like, no, that's it. Completely changed what I was going for a wheel setup.
So then that begs the question, what else is on the list?
I mean, of course, the dream is the supercharger or something like that, but realistically, it'd probably just be an intake and then those fenders. Yeah, pretty much. I'd build it the way I did now. Future-wise, if I was to go all out, it'd be the supercharger kit and lift, and then bigger rims and tires got to come with that. So,
well, of course, you go big or go home, as they say, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, Matt, thank you so much for being here and chatting with me about your truck. I do hope you get that supercharger on there someday, and whatever you do next, definitely keep us posted.
Absolutely will do. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure. All right, and to go over your build one more time for everybody who's watching at home, Matt is driving a 2020 Ram 1500. For wheels, he's got the XD Raids in satin black. These are 20x10s with a negative 18mm offset, making for an aggressive stance. For tires, he's running the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs, and these are 33x12.5s. And then for suspension, he's got the MotoFab 2.5-inch front leveling kit with the Skyjacker upper A-arms and HD ball joints. So Matt, thank you again for being here. Thank you all for watching. And as always, for all things Ram, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.